It seems like there's been a result. There is a plea conference or a plea hearing scheduled for January 25th. And I believe what that means is a plea has been accepted and we're in the end game now. It's 30 days, a little more than 30, about 38 days now. You got to keep your nose clean. You got to fly under the radar because you don't want to fuck up this deal. Like, the worst thing you can do at this point if you've made a deal is go public and be like, it's all a bunch of bullshit. Just doing it because I have to. It's fucking gay. Like, I know Nick is obsessed with the internet and he cares what they think about them. That's got to be something he's going to change if he's going to make it through whatever probationary period there is. He's got to go see more people in real life. He's got to make more connections outside the internet because it's that impressing the internet that's going to cause him to fuck up. You know, he's got a play act for the internet, which is really sad. So you got to not do that in the next 38 days because, first of all, people will tattle on you. Hey, you know, they're keeping an eye on you. And if the judge gets the idea that you're just doing this because, I have to, it's fucking bullshit. If you try to play cool for the internet, they're going to pull that fucking deal off the table and they're going to wrap the rest of it around your fucking neck. So you got to be a good boy from here until the 25th. And then I think once the sentence is passed down and all that stuff is done, you can say whatever you want. I don't know. I have no clue. I think it's smarter to just take responsibility and move on with your life rather than fight it. But I'm pretty sure that once it's done and signed, you can be like, yeah, I fucking hate those guys. They're all full of shit. They just had me by the balls and I had to. And I think you can. Do not take that as legal advice. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. But I think that that's the way it could work. I got a shitload of unsolicited firsthand gossip today. You might have been watching the morning show. And a few people on the farms caught it too. On the morning show, someone was sending me DMs of like, hey, I'm in contact with Nick. Here's what's going on. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why the fuck are you telling me all this shit? And I'm like, I mean, if someone drops good gossip, I have to listen to it. I'm a gossip girl. And I've got to listen to it. But they dropped all this information on me. Some of it I'm going to share with you tonight. Some of it, it's probably prudent that I don't share it. We've got to be smart about these things. But there were some things that he was trying to negotiate in this plea thing that I don't know how the prosecution didn't just laugh at him. And now, again, my source is someone to claim to have direct communication with Nick. That's all I can say. I don't know if he does or he doesn't, but he claims he does, and this is the info he's got, and it's very, very interesting. My good pal, my close personal friend, my brother in cuckitude, Nick Rekieta, had his what do you call it? Second settlement conference today. Now, hey, look, before I get into it, you're not going to hear me make fun of the guy for having a settlement conference in and of itself. Lord knows I got my own problems. But he had his settlement conference today, and this morning someone decided to DM me and just start telling me all of this insider information. Apparently, Nick just likes DMing with strangers on the internet. And I kind of felt bad when I was hearing this stuff because this is just a guy that's apparently talked to Nick a few times. They're not like close friends or anything like that. Nick just so badly needs people to talk to that he vents to strangers online. This is really, really weird. And this guy sent me a bunch of stuff and said, I thought you would be interested in this. Some of it I can talk about on the show. Some of it I can't. It's looking like a guilty plea. There is a plea hearing scheduled for January 25th, and I believe the plea hearing will be a confirmation of the deal they came to today. Now, people have been theorizing for a long time now what took them so long, what took Nick so long to plead guilty. I did get some insight into that today from this inside source who will remain nameless. I feel like such an intrepid journalist. But in reality, this shit all fell into my lap. Now, this is how it typically works. The state will offer you a deal, and there will be a first deal that won't be that great. And then as the process goes forward, they'll offer you a second deal, and that'll kind of be the final, like, look, we don't want to go to trial. It's time and energy and preparation. We got a lot of cases. Take this deal. Here's the, pieces of it. We'll call this thing good. Nick seemed to think that they were horse trading. And Nick brought forth an idea to prosecutors, again, from my source who claims to have direct contact with Nick. He said, quote, he tried offering to the state that he be a counselor, school visitor, and YouTube personality talking about the harms of taking drugs. Now, as far as being a school visitor, they don't want a guy who got caught with an ounce of cocaine with his fucking kids in the house who's on probation for that crime, going to schools and talking to children. They certainly don't need you to be a counselor. Just because you've done the shit doesn't mean you're qualified to be a counselor. So he offered this to the prosecutors, and I asked this person, why? Why did he offer it to them? He said he tried offering that to take the no booze for 2 to 3 years off the table. So Nick doesn't have a problem with alcohol. He's not an alcoholic, but he said, I'll change my entire YouTube personality to be the anti-drug guy. Nick says, I'm going to be the anti-drug guy on YouTube. You watch Nick Rekieta on YouTube, it's going to be a no doing drugs show. Drugs are bad, okay? I'm going to be the fucking Mr. Mackey of YouTube and Rumble. Because I really, really need to drink. Now, why would they want you to go to schools and be online telling people not to abuse substances when the only reason you're doing it is so you can suck down a bottle of whiskey? I mean, when I heard that, I just went, people are like, do you think that's true? Do you think that's true? It's too retarded for somebody to just make up. It's just really too dumb for someone to just make up. With Nick, it's all about these magic bullets. I've got this magic bullet that's going to get me out of all this shit. It was the Franks hearing, and then it was the interlocutory appeal, and it was this, and it was that. It was all this other stuff. Now it's, I know how I can, and again, none of this stuff is, I know how I can help people. I know how I can, steer people clear of drugs and everything else. His whole thing was, I know how I can drink. I know how I can get access to alcohol. I'll offer this. I'll go to schools. I'll be a counselor. I'll change my whole YouTube gimmick from the last time you saw me. I was to now hey kids, take it from me. Drugs are a no-no. Take a shot. I mean, I'd be insulted if I were the state of Minnesota to think that would work. So that apparently got nixed. That idea they did not think was a good one. Outside of that, my inside source has very little knowledge of what the deal could be other than kind of the time frame of probation, and that the probation is going to include both drugs and alcohol. That's what he knows, and that offer was made. And then somebody else told me that when Nick was negotiating with Rumble, he straight-faced told them, you should put me on your board of directors because I've got some great ideas. You got to give the guy credit. I mean, it's gall. It really is gall. So then he sent me some things about kind of the more personal end of this. And the more personal end of this looks like this. And I'm going to be careful here because there's things I can say and there's things I can't say. Talking about April, apparently someone gave Nick an ultimatum that said you can live the good Christian trad life or you can have your blonde whore. And he had to be put to a choice. And he could have chosen April. If he wanted her, he could have had her. He said no. He denied her. He rejected her. Said no, thank you. So April has been denied. That's all got to go. That's all got to be finished because someone somewhere, whether it was a relative, friend, whatever, laid down the law and said it's either this or that. Now, my source also says with all of this situation, he's never held any of the cards. Other people have. I know she's your ex-wife, but I make no apologies. April, that silly fuck, didn't realize how much power she had. And then he said in a couple of sentences later, the man is broken. He says, I'm not going to share specifics, but I'll say he sounds like a lovesick teenager. It's fucking sad to see. This isn't what he wants to do, but he wasn't given much of a choice. It turns out you bailed just in time. Well, I mean, it's not really what I'm worried about. And then I asked the person, I said, so he actually wants April. And my source says it's not just April. He wants whatever he wants. That was very interesting. So Nick was put to a decision by people. And it was, you gotta go with the whore or you gotta cut her loose. You gotta go with the side piece or you gotta cut her loose. And he told her, hit the bricks. That was apparently the choice. And his choice was she gotta go. And then he gets into the trying to offer to be a counselor, school visitor, and YouTube personality, talking about the harms of taking drugs. And he offered that so that they would let him drink while he was on probation. I believe that one because that lines up with the Nick I know. Nick has this idea that he's starting off on a higher intellectual plane than the other people who are laughing at him because, he thinks because he can't see their intellect, he must be on a higher plane. They're just up so much higher than him. He literally thought, he's like, well, I want to drink. So if I want to drink, I'll just offer them something. And because I'm offering them anything, they'll just give me what I want. They'll just give me my way because I'm offering something. And then if they say no, he chimps out and he goes, they're being unfair. I offered and they're just too stupid. And that was that comment he made not long ago where he's like, I just have to make the prosecution see and understand that it's just a waste of their time to. You can't be the guy who makes a YouTube personality about not taking drugs and talking to kids at schools when the whole reason you made the deal was so you could abuse substances like alcohol is a substance. So that was wild to hear. And then to hear that Nick kind of got tard wrangled, that's been a theory a lot of people had. And that turned out to be true. So that actually makes me feel not bad for April because she made her bed. But like now she's twisting in the wind. Now what the fuck is she going to do? Because like that house is sold. She's out. She's done. I don't know what you do from there. Hey, you know what the best part is? Not my pig, not my farm. Again, that came from someone who claims that they talked to Nick directly, and that's what they know. I will not reveal my source. As long as I didn't mention names, they said we could use that on the show. Court-ordered treatment never works. Yeah, that's kind of what the guy I talked to today said. He goes, if they're court-ordered not to drink or do drugs, and they're not like apologetic, and they don't think they have a problem, they're not going to make it. In fact, I was looking this up. The largest percentage of people who offend when they're on probation for alcohol is the DUI. That's the thing that always ends up getting them. It's one of those things where like he's bargaining. He's still in the bargaining stage of mourning when it comes to losing alcohol. He's bargaining with the state. Like, I'll turn my YouTube, the thing that used to make him millions. He's saying, I will take my entire existence and way to make money and gear it all towards just saying how shitty drugs are if you'll just let me drink. I mean, that to me screams problem. Screams problem. Turd Burglar says, so his proposal was an actual bit from the Chappelle show. Yes, he did the, what's his name? The Tyrone Bigham's bit where he went and took a shit in the trash can at the school. Yeah, he did that. Yeah, that same exact thing. Now that you mention it, it's the same bit. Chad Buzamak says, I kind of have a feeling Aaron seems to have a little ill will toward this Nicholas fella. Not at all. Not at all. Salt of the earth. I hope he turns everything around. I hope that new YouTube channel about the dangers of drugs. I hope he doesn't do that. Do you know how bad people would fucking roast him? He doesn't deal well with being criticized online as it is. Could you imagine a whole, like, he'll probably come back to a couple hundred people. Well, the first one might be a couple thousand just to watch a train wreck, but regularly a few hundred people. And coming back and actually with a straight face telling them drugs are bad, okay, when they saw him with sheetrock dust on his nose. I mean, Jesus Christ. Billy Bob Norris says, Nick really thought he could out-lawyer or out-4D chess the courts. Either that or it's just desperation. I mean, alcoholism is... I don't think he knows how much of an alcoholic he might be. I mean, to offer to change, like, I'll spend all my free time. Because remember, this is the guy who complains, I've got so many kids, I don't know what to do. I'm old Mother Hubbard over here running around all the time. I will take every waking moment of my free time to talk about how drugs are bad if you'll just let me drink. Damn. How reliable is this source of yours on a scale of 1 to 10, says Triple N? 8.5. 8.5. So that's what I know. That's the update for today. Like I said, I don't know if a plea hearing means that you pled out and you pled guilty or not, but I'd imagine I'm leaning 90-10 that today was the date that a deal was cut. But now until January 25th, you've got to kind of, you got to keep it quiet so you don't fuck the whole thing up.